during this tkufa, it's obvious that we need to daven hard, properly, correctly. We need to learn, we need to do mitzvahs, do tshuva. But there's a more focused and specific avodah that a tkufa, a period of tsar, of tzoros, of pressure on Klal Yisrael, that's where this particular midah comes into its own. And that midah is called Nושא בעול חברו. On the chesed totem, the highest, the peak of chesed, is the top of the totem pole, is a midah called Nושא בעול חברו. If we would analyze and understand chesed as follows: giving to someone else is chesed, but the muscle you use to enable correct and proper giving is as follows. You have to understand someone else's life. You have to come out of your own box, what you understand, what you need, what you feel is necessary, and realize there's another world out there, other people who have their own worlds, their own needs, their own requirements, their own necessities. Understanding that, then you're able to give properly. The Gemara calls that Dai Machzora, the Pasuk says, and it means you have to give him what he needs, what he lacks. Afilu sus lirkoi balov eved logot lefono. The requirement is to give the person a horse to ride on, a servant to run in front of him, even though you yourself do not have a horse and a servant, because it's not to do with you, it's to do what he needs. The muscle you'll need to do that is to come outside yourself. I always give an example. If there's some person coming to collect money, stocker case as it were, needs money, he needs to buy a shtreimel to get married. It costs thousands of dollars. You can say to yourself, look, here am I, normal panosa, and I don't spend thousands of dollars on these things. I need to make Shabbos, I need this and the other. So do I have to spend some money on your shtreimel? The answer is of course. Without a shtreimel, this fellow can't get married. He can't step out of his house. In his world, that's his need. We're not here to fix up someone else's world or his priorities and so on and so forth. It's his world. And stocker means understand his world. Come outside yourself, that's the muscle. If that's the muscle of chesed, what's the muscle of Nושא בעול? Chesed would be therefore an understanding of someone else's world. Nושא בעול would be feeling or being with someone else in his world, feeling their world, feeling for them, actually not just understanding them, feeling with them. Where do we find this? So we find this HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's a midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says himself that at Matan Torah, he revealed to Klal Yisrael that he had a sapphire stone under the Kisei HaKavod, representing the Shibud. When Klal Yisrael were in Mitzrayim, they had Levanim. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, all the time you were in Tsar, you were in Golus, I was feeling this as well. And he showed Klal Yisrael that's how he felt. Kloinimi Roshi, Kloinimi Zroya. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says when a Yid does an Aveira and when there's Chorban Beis HaMikdash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu himself feels that he is being Goyl and Nigle, he's gone into Golus. Erke Asher Erke, I go to Golus with you. Nושא בעול is the midah of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's a hard midah to feel simcha and to feel tsar for someone else. It's even harder to feel simcha, but to feel tsar for someone else. Rav Wolbe the Mashgiach Zichrono V'Locho, he hones it and specifies, if you like, what you're doing with Nושא בעול. He takes it on a journey into a problem called loneliness, hisboidedus. When someone is struck with midas hadin, a bereavement, a financial crisis, psychological problems with one's children, family, whatever it is, or just inability to express oneself properly, and one feels midas hadin, that you've been selected, this has happened to you. What happens in parallel to the original tsar, the tsar of what's happening to you, there's in tandem a feeling of loneliness. Everyone else is going on with life and dealing with life, etc., and it's me, I'm out of life, I'm by myself. To relieve that is a beautiful Nושא בעול חברו, when you come inside his world and say, you're not lonely, I'm with you. At least you can relieve that. You might not be able to take away the actual pain, but the pain is accentuated and it's exacerbated so much by this loneliness feeling. And he says that's the mizmor, Maskil the David of the Melech says, when he was in a cave is a lonely place, a dark place. He says, Ein dosh lenafshi, that no one's asking after me, Ein li makir, no one knows me. Release me from this prison, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So to speak, you see David Melech's writing a mizmah about the loneliness. He's been hit, he's having trouble. Someone come and be with him. bring a Gemara about that. The Gemara says that Rabbi Yochanan used to go to visit grieving parents at their shiva, and he used to come and he used to show them that he lost 10 children, and he used to show them something of his 10th child. And you'd ask, well, what's the point of that? The answer is like that. Someone has lost a child. It's a terrible tsar. Feels just him, and I'm by myself, and I'm just not part of life. I'm not with everyone. I'm not doing everything with everyone. It's just me. Comes along Rabbi Yochanan and says, it's not just you. Happened to me. I'm with you. I feel it. I get it. I understand it. That's nושא בעול עם חברו. The Gemara continues. And one of the Maroim was unwell. Rabbi Yochanan went to visit him and said, "You want to stay ill? Because there's a mile being ill. Yisurin Shalav." He says, "Lo hein v'lo tzchoron." I'd rather not these Yisurin. Help me get better. Gave him a hand. Rabbi Yochanan gave this Amor a hand, picked him up, and he got better. Then Rabbi Yochanan himself was unwell. And Rabbi Elazar came to visit him. Elazar came to visit him. And he says, "Do you want to stay unwell?" He says, "No, lo hein v'lo tzchoron. I don't want to stay unwell." He pulled him up. Asks the Gemara if that's true. If Rabbi Yochanan could be a healer, why didn't he heal himself? Answers the Gemara with these very famous words: "Ein chovush matir atzmoi mibeis ha'asurin." That a prisoner cannot release himself from jail. In other words, here's the implication that the tsar is you're by yourself, and you can't release yourself from loneliness because you are lonely. So you need someone to give you a hand and pull you out. And that's a continuation of the Gemara of Rabbi Yochanan going around comforting grieved parents. It seems to be the theme of that Gemara going throughout is the nושא בעול עם חברו. To what extent do you have to be nושא בעול עם חברו? Now some people have asked a tough question. There's a big tsar in Klal Yisrael, the danger in Klal Yisrael looming over everyone, but particularly those people who had loved ones captured or even killed. Rahman Islam, 1,000 people were killed, massacred by the Hamas, the Rishoyim, etc. And it's a terrific tsar. But it gets a little bit hard to be nושא בעול with that tsar when some of the people, not all of them, but some of them, are people I don't really have an affinity with. Not only I don't have an affinity, they self-admittedly hate me. They hate Torah, they hate Charedim. I actually know, and this is not something exaggerated, we're not saying exaggeration, these people who live here know this as a Matthias. I know, for instance, at one of the meetings with the families of those who've been kidnapped, there was a nice Haredi girl wanted to give a hug. She said, "I don't want a hug from you, I'd rather hug an Arab. Ad kadei kach. Are they have more affinity with an Arab child in Gaza or a Yiddish child in Mea Shearim? Don't want to answer the question. But anyway, the question is, what am I supposed to feel about these people? These particular people, not everyone, obviously. And the answer is like this. I found a Meridika Zoya, Parshas Vayero. It's going on Parshas Lech Lecha, when Avraham Avinu went and he fought the Malachim to bring Lot out of captivity. Remember, Lot was the first captive we have in the Torah. First hostage. First one was kidnapped by the 4 kings, and Avraham Avinu rescued him. Asked the Zohar, Rabbi Yitzchak, he asked the question, how could Avraham Avinu go and fight 4 kings? They were very powerful, and he's not strong, and therefore he's putting himself in danger. You're not allowed to put yourself in danger. Answers the Zohar, Rabbi Yehuda, he didn't actually go to fight. He went to rescue him. And the Lashon of the Zohar goes like this. Tzara de Lot afka me'et beisai means Lot's tsar drew Avraham Avinu out of his house. He took money, he wanted to redeem Avraham Avinu, and being unsuccessful at redeeming him, he would then sit with Lot in the captivity till Avraham Avinu, died. But as he went out of his house, there was a whole Pamalia, Kodesh Baruch Hu, with a whole Pamalia Shalmala, heavenly soldiers who are going to fight for him. So that's not Simcha Mananes, this is already happening. So then he understood he can go and fight, and the Kodesh Baruch Hu killed the Malachim. That's what the Zohar says. But what interests me is, number one, the description of why Avraham Avinu left his house, his comfort zone. Tsare de Lot afke, the Tsar of Lot pulled him out. I can't survive, I can't continue if Lot's the Tsar. But what did he go and do? I'm going to redeem Lot with money. And if I don't succeed, I'm going to sit with him in captivity till I die. And then I ask you, and if Avraham Avinu would die in captivity, he was only halfway through his nisyonis, definitely hadn't come to the Akedah. Yitzchak Avinu wasn't born yet. So Klal Yisrael's gone, Torah's gone, the whole emshich of the history of Klal Yisrael's gone away. So what are you doing? You're going to sit with Lot in captivity and prevent the whole Torah being given. Yes. Nושא בעול עם חברו, וישמע אברהם כי נשבע אחיו, as my cousin pointed out, not nishba loit, nishba ochiv. Your brothers in tsar, you go. Come what may. Forget your plans, forget Torah, forget everything else. Just go. But who did he go to rescue? Loit. Chazal tell us he was a Rosh Loit. That's what Chazal say. Don't want Avram Avinu, don't want Elokov. He went away to live with who? The enemy. Stoim was the enemy of Avram Avinu, both in belief in God, in Emunah, and also lifestyle. Midas Stoim is contrary to the Chesed of Avram Avinu. Yet Lot chooses to go there, fraternize with them, be friendly with them, become part of them, embedded, rooted in them, and become a Dayan over there. That's Lot. So he's fraternizing with the enemies. I've got to go rescue him. Yes, Nishba, Ochiv, it doesn't matter what they hold, what they think, how they view you, whether they like you or not, doesn't matter. Nושא בעול עם חברו, sit there until you die, because you can't allow a brother to suffer and you continue. Obviously, in present day, we're not talking about someone going into Gaza and sitting in captivity. That would be ridiculous. But what we do know, that Chazal actually learned, Nושא בעול עם חברו is a mechayiv. Yosef Tzaddik showed us that, Noach in the Tabor. Also, there's certain hanors that a person is also to partake of that hanor, b'shnas ravin, when there's a famine, or when the world's getting destroyed, or when Klal Yisrael are going through tzoros. What does that mean? That means even though perhaps you can't relieve the loneliness, even though perhaps you can't go and sit with them, but to show that you're not Polish me'at tzibur, you don't think that's their problem and I just go continue. In order to do that, you have to somehow have some restraint in something, a small thing. Whether it's in food, whether it's in sleep, whether it's in entertainment, whatever it is you normally do while this is going on. And those people, Rahman al-Islam, what they're suffering, unbelievable Yisurim, which we have no idea. And some of them will not live to tell the tale, Rahman al-Islam, or maybe have been killed already. Maybe everyone should be rescued, and I shouldn't even say that. But the Maisa, terrible sorrows. So we can afford to give up some small thing to say to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are Mechuba, we are joined with them, we're all one nation. Doesn't matter who they are. Ochiv, Acheinu Hein. They are brothers, sisters, because they are part of Klal Yisrael. Doesn't matter what they hold, doesn't matter whether they like me, doesn't make any difference. Loit, Avram Avinu was going to sit with him till he died. Umemela, that's a mechayev. That's a focused mechayev, but this time of Tsar, so many people are suffering, so many people have got burdens, so many people are dying, so many people are going to war, etc., etc. We cannot continue regardless. We have to be nושא בעול, take on something very, very small, just to resist, restrain oneself from, to show HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we are one nation. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu being a Yeshua b'mheira.